Empty seats. Meghan Seething as guests walk out of Colombia summit during her speech. The 2023 Latin American and Caribbean Summit in Cartagena, Colombia was meant to be a triumphant return to the global stage for Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. After a self-imposed exile from the royal family and high-profile controversies, this was her chance to reassert her influence on the world stage and cement her status as a leading voice on social and humanitarian issues. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. However, the event quickly turned into a public relations disaster for the embattled royal. As Meghan took the stage to deliver the keynote address, she was met with a shocking sight. Dozens of seats in the audience were suddenly vacated as attendees began to file out of the hall. Eyewitnesses report that Meghan's face fell as she watched delegates from several Latin American nations get up and leave the room, many of them avoiding eye contact with the Duchess. Her opening remarks, which were meant to champion her pet causes of female empowerment and racial justice, were delivered to an increasingly sparse crowd. "You could see the color drain from her face," said one source present at the summit. She was clearly flustered and thrown off by the walkout. She tried to power through, but you could tell she was seething inside. The embarrassing episode cast a dark cloud over an event that was supposed to showcase Meghan's global influence and legitimize her status as a humanitarian leader. Instead, it highlighted the growing backlash and resentment that the former royal has faced, both in the UK and abroad. So what led to this dramatic walkout? And why has Meghan's star fallen so precipitously? The seeds of this public relations disaster were sown long before Meghan even took the stage in Cartagena. Ever since her bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021, where she and her husband Prince Harry leveled a series of damning accusations against the British royal family, Meghan has found herself at the center of an increasingly bitter cultural and political clash. Her claims of racism within the palace, as well as her portrayal of herself and Harry as victims of the monarchy's callousness, resonated with many around the world. However, they also generated a major populist backlash, particularly in the UK, where Meghan was vilified by the tabloid press and seen by many as an arrogant and entitled outsider trying to undermine the institution of the monarchy. This controversy only intensified in the years that followed, as Meghan and Harry embarked on a series of lucrative media deals and pursued an increasingly partisan political agenda, wading into issues like the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Many saw this as a betrayal of the royals' traditional role of political neutrality. Furthermore, Meghan's efforts to position herself as a global champion of human rights and social justice have been undermined by a number of missteps and controversies. Her much-hyped 2022 Archetypes podcast, for example, was criticized for its superficial treatment of complex issues and Meghan's apparent lack of nuance and intellectual depth. There have also been persistent questions about the authenticity of Meghan's activism, with critics accusing her of using social causes as a branding exercise to boost her own profile and wealth. The Cartagena summit debacle is just the latest example of Meghan failing to connect with a skeptical global audience. The walkout was particularly embarrassing, given that the event was meant to showcase Meghan's influence in Latin America, a region that she and Harry have tried to court as part of their post-royal philanthropic efforts. The abrupt departure of delegates, many of whom represent leftist or populist governments that are skeptical of the monarchy, suggests that Meghan's message is failing to resonate beyond her core base of liberal supporters in the United States and Canada. In the aftermath of the summit, Meghan's team has sought to downplay the significance of the walkout, claiming that the departing delegates were simply responding to a scheduling change rather than a rejection of the Duchess herself. However, the damage to Meghan's reputation has already been done, and it remains to be seen whether she can recover from this latest public relations disaster. As Meghan retreats back to her Montecito mansion, she must surely be wondering how it all went so wrong. The promise of global influence and adulation that she and Harry seem to enjoy in the immediate aftermath of Megxit has given way to an increasingly hostile reception, both at home and abroad. The Cartagena summit may have been the starkest illustration yet of the sharp decline of the Meghan Markle brand.